Have compassion for everyone you meet, even if they don't want it. What seems conceit, bad manners, or cynicism is always a sign of things no ears have heard, no eyes have seen. You do not know what wars are going on down there where the spirit meets the bone. Hearing those words by Miller Williams around compassion, having compassion for everyone we meet, that can be hard. Oftentimes we struggle with our tapping into our skills of being compassionate for ourselves and for others. So there's a precursor for compassion that often arrives that if we're not aware of it, we don't tend to it, it slips away from us and our compassion falls by the wayside. And oftentimes those of us in the public safety careers and industries and the helper industries, the healers, doctors, nurses, therapists, meditation teachers, police officers, teachers, firefighters, paramedics, the list goes on and on. For the longest time it was referred to as compassion fatigue, and it starts showing up as burnout. Cynicism is one of the first symptoms that we're moving down this nasty path toward burnout through compassion fatigue. And cynicism is one of those things that is devastating to us. And Miller Williams spotlights it in his poem. But the precursors for compassion, though, not only are acceptance, there's another video posted on the website and YouTube channels around acceptance, and there's lots of practices that we can do to hone our acceptance skills. But empathy is also required. Empathy is something that is wired into us as humans, as mammals. We have the ability to be empathetic, and when we allow ourselves to be empathetic, it opens us up then to see and sense the suffering in another and want to do something about it. Sometimes when we don't do it skillfully, that's probably not going to be a lot of compassion. But when we can practice it and notice it and allow the suffering to be in our presence, that can be overwhelming. And going back to the talk on tolerance, when we're overwhelmed, we're not in a state of being able to tolerate our own experience or the experience of others. Not tolerating another's experience also creates an intolerance within us also. Other words for this would be empathic distress, moral distress. We might see some moral wrongdoing, and it'll create an internal storm within us that can be too much, can be intolerable. And that starts to nudge us away of being able to accept ourselves or accept whatever's going on, much less rips us away from being compassionate. So all of these require skillful action and skillful attention to practice, to enhance them, to repeat them over and over, so that when we are facing real human suffering and real difficulty, we have a foundation that we can fall back on. Without doing these practices, without engaging with them, and without acknowledging that they're available to us, we all have the ability to be tossed over an edge. And sometimes going over the edge is irrecoverable. It can result in our death, or it can result in tremendous physical ailments across our lifespan. It can result in maybe going to prison. Going across an edge unknowingly, without the skills to be able to climb back up to the top of the edge, to recover, to heal ourselves, creates tremendous suffering, not only for us, but then for those around us that care about us. So compassion, sometimes we view it, oh, that's warm and fuzzy and it's a sign of weakness. And what I'm suggesting to you is compassion can be the hardest practices that you can engage with, especially when you start to open up to being compassionate with yourself. Kristen Neff, a psychologist out of Texas, has spent much of her professional career as a psychologist studying compassion. And she and others have identified that we have the ability to actually develop a fear of compassion in 3 different directions. We can have a fear of offering compassion to others. So there's a shutting down of even seeing their suffering. We can turn away from it. There can be a fear of receiving compassion from others. So when people attempt to offer us kindness and loving acts to soothe our own suffering, we can reject it. We can push it away and not bring it in. And the last one, which I have found anecdotally arrives within public safety very often, is a fear of self-compassion. Being able to turn toward our own pain and suffering and doing something for ourselves to soothe it. There's very specific practices that I'm going to offer. I'm going to offer one right now. It only takes a few moments to go through it. We can engage with it throughout the day. And it's a moment of drawing awareness to what's present, allowing it to be here. There's the acceptance piece of it, the component of it, and then offering ourselves some loving kindness and the willingness to be with what is. And that's the odd thing is, why would I want this to be here? This hurts. That's not acceptance, and that's a sign of resistance. And just like what's going on in much of the world now, definitely in many cities in the U.S. and certainly in this city right here where we're at now, in the communities around the county, there's tremendous resistance from various areas. And as law enforcers, as public safety, when you meet resistance, how do you meet resistance? You meet it with more force. Resistance brings more force, more resistance, and it goes back and forth. And those of you that practice martial arts, many styles of martial arts don't go force on force. They will go with the force. They will redirect the force. They will change the direction of it. Aikido, judo, there's a lot of flow involved in various forms of martial arts that say resistance with resistance does not result in a lot of accomplishment. Moving with it, redirecting it, like standing in a river, having debris, logs, and other things floating towards you. If you can stay on your feet while you're standing there in the river, you can gently reach out and nudge the debris coming your direction. You don't have to get hit by it and be swept away. But you also have an option. You're going to have an option to get your butt out of the river so you don't have to even have this going on. So with these analogies, these metaphors of being able to use martial arts or the river or debris and things coming our way, we don't have to meet them head to head and resist. We can accept that they're here and escort them right past us. Maybe we can learn from. Maybe we can climb out of the river and not experience the turbulence to begin with. But we have choice. We can watch it go by rather than being fearful of being swept up by it. So the first practice that I'm going to invite you to engage with right now is simply thinking of a moment, a recent moment or something from your past, not the harshest thing that you've ever experienced, but something where there was a little bit of difficulty, a little bit of uncomfortableness. Might have been an interaction with another person, might be something around work or home, school. Bring it into awareness and identifying what it is you might have been feeling, and notice how it shows up now as you recall it. It'll be present in the body, might be a sense of discomfort, might be a sadness, a hurt, a sense of disrespect, resentment, anger. Won't matter what you identify. Once you identify it, I invite you to name it to yourself. Silently say, this is sadness, this is hard, this is difficult, this is uncomfortable, this is a sense of disrespect, this is anger, I'm pissed off. You can start to put a name to it, sense where it's showing up, placing a hand over the chest or 2 hands over the chest. Taking a breath, a deep breath, a cleansing breath, long exhale, as you're naming this to yourself. And then reminding yourself that what I'm experiencing now is part of being human. Others experience this also. I'm not alone. This draws your awareness to your reminder to your core that this is part of the human experience. Whatever you're experiencing now, somewhere on this planet, out of the 7.5 billion people, there are others experiencing the same similar emotion in their own way. We're not alone. Continuing on, may I allow this to be present on my heart with love and kindness. This is the self-compassion piece. Allowing this to be here, there's acceptance coming together with self-compassion on the heart. And there's an ancient story, a teacher and a student are interacting, and the student asks, "Teacher, how come when we do this, you say to place it on the heart rather than in the heart?" And the teacher responds, "That's so that when the heart breaks, the love and kindness can spill in to heal it." And then the last component of this is, may I allow this to be here with an openness and curiosity and a willingness to be with what is. An openness and curiosity and a willingness to be what is with what is. And anywhere along this practice, you may find that resistance shows up. And you can pause, you can name it and say, And resistance might show up as a tightening, a clenching, a thought that, bullshit, I don't want to do this. There's all sorts of ways that resistance will show up. We can name that also, and we can start right at the top again. This is resistance. May I allow this to be here? And that might sound contrary, but it sets the stage for a paradox. Our minds often do not like paradoxes. So I'm going to allow resistance to be here. This also is part of being human. Others experience this too. May I allow resistance to be present on my heart with love and kindness. And resistance might start to say, what's going on here? I'm here for a function. I'm here to resist, looking for the pushback, and you're allowing me. Oh, wait a second. And continuing on, may I allow it to be on my heart with love and kindness, with an openness and curiosity. Resistance has a story to tell me. What can I learn from it? Do I need to believe it? Is it useful? Is it familiar? With the willingness to be with what is. More acceptance. It's here. If I resist it, it's going to crank down and get harder. I'm going to be in a knockdown, drag-out fight within my own being around my own experience. Having my own little riot. How about that? Acceptance. With compassion and loving kindness, and resistance starts to soften. Might not go away right away, but with practice, we start giving ourselves what it is that we truly need. And what that is knowing, seeing, and understanding. We get to know what's going on here. We pay attention to it. Then we get some understanding that it has a story to tell us. And then that fosters a sense of interconnection and allows us to come back out and then be connected with the ones that we care about. And quite possibly to the person who's involved in public safety, whether it's firefighting, being a paramedic, being a police officer, a lifeguard, a doctor, a nurse, teacher, therapist, it doesn't matter. There's something in there that says, why do we do this hard work? Especially initially. And for most of us, it's because we care so damn much. Well, what is that? What is caring? Well, caring truly it's a compassionate stance. But maybe you've never named it that way for yourself. It scared you to say, well, I'm compassionate, because that's a sign of weakness. The thing is why do the hard thing? Why run into those difficult towers? Why go to the danger if you didn't care? If you didn't care so much? And ultimately, what you're going to end up getting back is you get back something. You get back a sense of meaning, a sense of belonging, a sense of connection. And when that's ripped away from you, That's painful. That's suffering. It doesn't have to be suffering. There's a simple formula that comes out of the Buddhist practices. It's called pain times resistance equals suffering. The pain is inevitable. Life is full of challenges, and we navigate through them. The resistance is going to be our view of it, our acceptance of it, or our denial of it, our ability to tolerate it, or our inability to tolerate it, our unwillingness to tolerate it. Oftentimes it's a willingness. Hence, may I be willing to be with what is, but I don't like it. That's okay. It's painful. I get this. Pain is part of the human experience. We're not alone. But I feel alone. Yeah, a lot of us do. We start to realize that, if we do this together, we don't have to suffer. We can be in the pain together. That it can be hot, it can be cold, it can be harsh. And then we can do something different. So this is compassion in a nutshell. It requires skillful practice, skillful action to engage with it throughout the day, not only bringing it inward for yourself, giving it to others, but also receiving it from others when it's offered. And first responders, cops, firefighters, and medics frequently will not ask for help. They will not open themselves to receive loving kindness from others. But it's the one thing that they need the most. They need to know that they are known, seen, and understood. And they have to be able to open to that. And to do that requires tremendous vulnerability. And what's vulnerability? Other than a specific form of fear. It's risky. And when we see vulnerability in those around us, sometimes we say, it took a lot of guts, a lot of strength for that person to say that publicly. But we won't do it for ourselves. If we were to express that, I'm hurting here, this is hard, this is overwhelming, I cannot see one more dead baby. If only you all knew what I've encountered, you'd be nicer to me. Yeah, right. Every one of us that have ever done public safety, we carry with us our history, but we won't tell anybody about it, but we expect them to see it in us. And when they don't see it, here comes an upset, and all of a sudden we're feeling like we're not part of the group. We're on the outside. And it's like, well, wait a second, I'm hurting over here too. I've been a cop for so many years. I've been a cop for 5 years, for 10 years, for 15 years. If you only knew what I was carrying with me, and I've done it for you, how dare you say that I'm dishonest or that I'm corrupt? That's real. That's honest. Telling it to yourself, because something inside the psyche is saying, I need something from you, not from them. I need something from you. I need some compassion from you. We're doing this together. There's the integrity. The mind and the body and the spirit move into this to go help others to make the world a better place, and sometimes disregarding, abandoning, self-sacrificing the internal landscape. So to wrap up here for now, one of the things that we can turn toward and start investigating is our core intention, our core value that drives us into the career to begin with, and strengthen that, exercise it, take it out, pay attention to it every day. No different than brushing your teeth, assuming you brush your teeth at least once or twice a day. Exercising, practicing driving skills, shooting skills, any other skills you know. Compassion is also a skillful action, and it requires attention and practice. And as you practice, it's then available when you need it most. And when you need it most is when things are the harshest. The world will continue to suffer, whether it's around racism, whether it's around inequality, or whether it's around people are born and then they die. And you're standing out there in it with them, intending to help them, absorbing their pain and suffering also, with awareness rather than unawareness, so that you can tolerate it and accept it, and then be compassionate with it. So we're at the end. I invite you to just sit and listen to the sounds and the tones that will come your way and continue to remain free of harm. Experience equanimity, balance, and peace. And may you continue to engage with your pain and suffering with a stance of courage, strength of heart. I wish you well. Finding a comfortable seated position and taking a few deep breaths to settle into your body and into this present moment. You're invited to place a hand over your heart or wherever it is comforting and soothing as a reminder to bring affectionate awareness to your experience and to yourself. Bringing to mind someone you are caring for who is exhausting you or frustrating you. Someone whom you care about who is suffering. Visualize this person and the caregiving situation clearly in your mind and feel the struggle in your own body. Listening carefully to these words, letting them gently roll through your mind. Everyone is on his or her own life journey. I am not the cause of this person's suffering, nor is it entirely within my power to make it go away, even if I wish I could. Moments like this are difficult to bear, yet I may still try to help if I can. Drawing awareness to the stress you are carrying in your body, inhaling fully and deeply, drawing compassion inside your body and filling every cell of this body with compassion. Letting yourself be soothed by inhaling deeply and by giving yourself the compassion you need. As you exhale, sending out compassion to the person who is associated with your discomfort, or to others in general. Continue breathing compassion in and out, allowing your body to gradually find a natural breathing rhythm, letting your body breathe itself. One for you, one for me. In for me, out for you. Occasionally scanning your inner landscape for any distress and responding by inhaling compassion for yourself and exhaling compassion for others. And if you're finding that anyone needs extra compassion, directing your breath in that direction. Noticing how your body is caressed from the inside as you breathe. Letting yourself float on an ocean of compassion, a limitless ocean that embraces all suffering. Listening to these words once again. Everyone is on his or her own life journey. I am not the cause of this person's suffering,
nor is it entirely within my power to make it go away, even if I wish I could. Moments like this are difficult to bear, yet I may still try to help if I can. Letting go of this practice and allowing yourself to be exactly as you are in this moment.